I know this is not a question that I wrote down, but I was curious, were you hoping to have more than one child, or do you feel like you're good with one?
We definitely eventually want more than one. How many we end up having in the future is up to God. But we talked about at least having two. My husband is an identical twin, so it is possible that I could have twins, maybe. I don't know how the genetics and that works, but my husband is an identical twin, so twins do run in my husband's family. So if we have twins, then obviously we'd have three at that point. But just for my own sanity and finances, also, I definitely could not have more than two or three.
Yeah, Liza, that definitely makes sense. It's definitely Liza, you definitely want to know like what's best for you, like in the the stage of your life. So, and like I said, it is definitely ultimately that it is up to God. But like I said, at least like you have kind of like a set mind of like where where you stand on that. As far as me, like I would love to definitely have more than one child. Like I would love to have probably around the same two or three, but if the Lord leads me to more, like I'm definitely not going to, be complaining about it. But if I had a preference, yeah, two to three as well. So and so that's probably a good like safe number to go
Yeah.
with, especially with the car that I have right now only fits five people. So, so yeah, there's that. So the next question that I have, um, let's say, so when it comes to a child growing up and getting older, they may more than likely look to their parents as like their role models. And I was just thinking, like, do you feel more pressure to like making better choices in life now that you are a parent?
Yes and no. And I'm going to explain the reasoning for both of those answers. So, yes, because obviously my child is looking up to me and watching everything that I do. And so, I want to model for her good behavior. I want to model for her right versus wrong. So, that's the yes side of it. The no side of it is that I don't want her to think that, well, mommy's just so perfect that mommy's never made mistakes and I can't come to her, because we're never going to be perfect on this earth. We just won't be. And so I don't want her ever thinking that I am perfect and I don't mess up and I don't make mistakes, because I do. So I want her knowing that it's okay to make mistakes and that I make them, and that it's how you come back from the mistakes that matters. Um, I don't want her going and thinking like, well, I've already made one mistake. I might as well just keep making them. I also don't want her thinking like, um, well, I'm just a terrible person because I've made this mistake and I can't come back from it. I want her to have full confidence in the God that we serve, and knowing that He loves her and knowing that He forgives her if she comes to Him with arms open wide and no questions asked. So I want her to have confidence in that. And the only way that she can know for sure is if she watches me make mistakes and how I come back from my mistakes.
Wow, that's really good. I actually love that answer because you can it can really go both ways. Because like I said, you would want to automatically say yes because like you said, your child is looking up to you and like so whatever you do, they may follow that pattern. And it's like so that's definitely a good thing to go after. But at the same time, like you said, that it's an unrealistic like goal to be perfect here on earth.
Mhm.
And I said, just knowing that you are going to make mistakes as a parent, your kids are going to see the mistakes. And like I said, as long as they see how you bounce back from it and like get back on the right track, they're going to follow that same pattern. So I could definitely see both sides of that. Like, so that's I actually was not thinking about it that way, but I'm glad that you brought that up because I said it is as a very like unrealistic that like we're all where you can't just be the perfect parent. There's not a single perfect parent out there. Like, we're all going to fail. We're all going to um, you know, stay down, like I said, but then hopefully eventually we get back up and sooner than later, hopefully, and just get back to doing right. And like I said, yeah, it's definitely could see a big pressure on like being a parent because I say basically whatever you say, they may, kind of use your words. And like I said, I've definitely heard that. Like for example, like in my family, we don't really use profanity, but like in other families, like I may hear a parent use profanity. And then my nephews, like they'll hear other kids, or even in like my life when I was a kid, like I didn't really hear much profanity until like middle school. And then like once I got into middle school, I was thinking like, what are these words? Like, what do these mean? And like, I'm telling my parents, and they're all like, but don't ever use that word again. Like, don't say that word. It's a bad word. And so let's just, like, I guess things like that. It's like they use that language because their parents use that language, and so like, so I guess there's just anything that you say and do and believe, like, so they kind of look up to you in that way. And sometimes, yeah, I'll say it can be a good thing, and sometimes it can backfire. Like, unfortunately, like I know I like a coworker, like she's a big Christian, and I think like one of her older kids, now that he's getting older, he's kind of like rebelling and making it sound like that, like she was using her beliefs and like shoving it down his throat, basically. And I guess he's kind of rebelling in a way for that reason. So, like, I guess there definitely can be good and bad out of like trying to be lead by example, but at the same time, like I said, not that I don't think she's forcing it down his throat, but I guess she's just trying to instill that faith and the belief in the God we serve and all that. And I guess he's at that kind of teenage stage where he's just wanting to go totally against what the parent says. And I guess we may have probably all had our moments of being a teenager or young adult, yeah, where we want to do the total opposite just because we know our parents like well, we want to do things our way. So like, I guess like, there definitely can be some big pressures, and that's something that I want to prepare for both ways. Like, I don't want to give myself a too high of an expectation on being the perfect parent, but at the same time, because I don't want it to get to where I'm more caring about being my child's friend than I am my child's parent. So
It's
a
finding the
hard.
balance.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that middle ground of trying to find the balance between both, because you don't want to look like you're some dictator, that's like a commander that's in charge, and like the kids are scared of you, but at the same time you don't want to be too soft, and then your kids kind of go off a path towards disaster. So
Mhm.
so yeah,
You
listen.
don't want your kids to walk all over you, and you don't want to be a doormat for your kids, but you also, you know, you want to instill that, like we have that healthy fear of God where like we know if we mess up, like God is our father, and we know if we mess up and we disobey him, there's going to be consequences. But we know that he still loves us. And that's the same thing for, earthly parents. We love our children and we want the best for our children. When they mess up, you know, they're going to mess up. It's inevitable. But when they do, I want them to be able to know that you can run to your parents, you can run to your earthly father, you can run to your heavenly father, and like there's going to be consequences because you did this thing. There's consequences for your actions. That way you don't do it again because it's not what's best for you.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good way of, bringing that up, because yeah, like I said, there are going to be consequences, and there's going to be like discipline that happens whenever, your child goes against you. And like I said, even with us, like I just think of like the prodigal son, like in the Bible where as he goes off, as in he thinks, oh, this is going to be a good life, and then he turns out here he is with pigs, like, and he's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm going back, even if I have to like be like a servant, or like, I gotta work under my dad. And like he goes back to his dad, and his dad's like waiting with open arms. And like that's just a good way to go about even with parenting, like just trying to go based off that, like showing that unconditional love, even though you may be mad at your child at that moment, but still letting them know, like, I'm doing this because I love you. Like, I'm having to show you that this is wrong. Like, you do need to be punished, and I hope that you learn from this. So Leslie, it's just finding that right balance. So Leslie, that's definitely I can see where it could be, big pressure with that. And it's definitely something I want to prepare for. And Leslie, I know I'm sure that's something that you're going to be preparing for too, because I know your daughter is not a teenager yet. And we know that those days will come where the child, it seems like every child, no matter what, whether they're good or bad, will eventually start trying to resist,
The
even if it's a
water.
little, yeah, yeah. So yeah, resist even a little bit. So like I said, it's definitely a good way to prepare our minds and our hearts. So yeah, my next question is going to be, like I said, it's definitely an obvious kind of question, but I still would like to hear the answer to this. But like, what are some challenges that come out, like that come when it comes to parenthood?
Okay, so when Kendall was first born, the challenge was just learning the routine because she was waking up to be fed like every 2 to 3 hours. And so I felt like I was like getting no rest. And then when I would lay down, I felt like as soon as I would lay down, she'd pop right back up. Um, so that was the biggest challenge when she was like newborn. Now the each stage is going to bring its own challenges, but now the stage that we're in, the challenge is just maintaining the work and home balance. I work full time, 40 hours a week. Thankfully, I don't work overtime. So I'm not really worried about like working too much or anything like that. But when I work during the day, obviously I'm not home. So I don't have time to do those home chores like laundry, dishes, cleaning the house, all that. I don't have time to do that during the day because I'm working. So then when I get home from work, I kind of put those chores to the side because I want to spend time with my family. I want to spend time with my daughter and my husband. I don't want to sit there every evening and do laundry or dishes or clean the house. Like I want to spend time with my family. And so I just feel like I can honestly never keep up with laundry, like ever.
Yeah, so like I said, that's definitely some good things to bring up because like I said, I can, already, not that I've already been a parent, but I hear from new parents that like getting used to the routine and it's also trying to understand sometimes like why is my baby crying? Like my baby just been crying all night. Like I feed my baby and that's not enough. I try to like burp my baby, that's not enough. I change his diaper, it's not enough. And lesson is just still crying and you just have to just like go through sleepless nights, going through all that. So as there's definitely that challenge of like just trying to get used to that, especially if you're the type that want to get a normal 8 hours of sleep or whatever. It's definitely an adjustment that you have to get used to broken up kind of sleep. So that might be definitely like as excited as I want to be a parent, that's something that I'm kind of like, oh, like I'm kind
Yeah.
of kind of dreading in a way, but at the same time, I know it's all going to be worth it at the end of it all. So lots of that, and then like I said, a home and work balance is definitely a good thing to bring up.